lesson, you'll learn strategies for creating a sense of urgency in the hiring manager. You want the hiring manager to feel like he or she needs to take action immediately, to contact you now before you get away. Remember that in the hiring game, hiring managers are the customer and you or your services are the product. Like with any other product, if you have limited availability, you are perceived as more desirable. This strategy is time-honored. A friend of mine used it when selling hot tubs at trade shows. The first thing he did when setting up a show was to place brightly colored sold signs on several of the hot tubs. Without fail, people would ask if they could buy those items. Why? Because people want what is not available or what has limited availability. Real estate agents use this trick all the time. They put up bright red and white sold signs because they know these encourage more sales in the neighborhood. Retailers of big ticket items know that sold signs encourage sales. People presume that if the floor models are selling, they must be good deals, and availability might be limited. They better get one while they still can. This is a go-to strategy that experienced marketers are well aware of. Limited availability creates desire and a sense of urgency. Your cover letter can do the same with statements such as these. These statements do work. They create a sense of urgency and limit your availability. After all, there's only one of you on the market. Sure, you have competition, but you are unique. When you create a perception of your limited availability, you're using one of the most powerful motivators known to all businesses. Think about how many times you've come across a business using phrases like, "for a limited time," "expires on," "limited availability," "first come, first serve," "price guaranteed only until sold out." Businesses use this language because it works. Remember, your services are the product. The employer is the customer. Use the powerful principles of marketing that businesses have been using on all of us for decades. There is one four-letter word that has been found to powerfully impact the effectiveness of an advertisement. It's the word call. Split A/B tests have repeatedly shown that placing the word call in front of a telephone number increases an ad's response. The word call demands an action. This one word tells anyone who reads the ad and has any interest and desire whatsoever in the product exactly what action to take. Even though a telephone number would seem to be enough, including the word call somehow adds motivation. For whatever reason, the word is known to boost responses. So use it. You do not want to use trite phrases such as this. This sounds like begging, or the variation, "please call me anytime," which sounds desperate. No one should be this available. This sounds condescending. I've actually read cover letters that use, "you have my permission to contact me," which is even worse. I think it's a fair bet that anyone receiving a cover letter and resume with your telephone number on it would presume to have permission to call you. This is one of the worst. First of all, it's begging. Second, placing the phrase, if interested, before the call to action diminishes the power of the call. The prospect is being asked to question their interest. It generates feelings of uncertainty. Gee, maybe you're so unsure of yourself that you want us to question our own judgment. This is limiting. Is this the only reason to call? This is presumptuous. Who's to say you're going to meet me? And it's not much better if you write, looking forward to hearing from you. This says, after all, this matter is not important. If you have free time during your busy day, when you never have any free time, go ahead and pick up the phone. So what is good? Try this. A direct, simple, straightforward call to action. Combine it with a limited availability line, and you have a great close. Employers are people. They perceive more value in a job candidate who is employed or who has limited availability. Whether you're employed or not, you must demonstrate limited availability to create value in the mind of the hiring manager, along with a sense of urgency in their needing to respond. You create that sense of urgency through one of the phrases you learned above for conveying your limited availability. In the example cover letter from the last lesson, we used a sense of urgency is a powerful element of advertising and selling. Like most any method or idea, a sense of urgency will not work in every situation. A sense of urgency is most effective when responding to an open position. Otherwise, not advertising an open position, the organization will have no urgent need to respond. Now that you know how to write a cover letter, the follow-up letter will be a breeze. This is the letter you write after an interview. You use the same 1, 2, 3 approach you used for the cover letter. First, you'll make that all-important connection with the employer and grab his or her attention. Then you'll market your skills and capabilities and re-emphasize your fit with the needs of the hiring organization. But you're going to use a subtle strategy. Finally, you'll urge the employer to act, this time using the powerful psychological principle of reciprocity. After you've been interviewed, you urge the employer to act. This time using the powerful psychological principle of reciprocity. After you've been interviewed, you should always send a follow-up letter. But as you probably guessed, the follow-up letter is more than just a humble expression of your gratitude. It serves a strategic purpose in your job seeking. The follow-up letter reminds the employer why you will fulfill his or her needs. It also gives you an opportunity to mention any capabilities that you might not have stressed enough in the interview, and you could include additional copies of your work or a recent article pertaining to the employer's industry. If you're in the running for the position, a follow-up letter could give you the competitive edge you need to win. Think about it. Most employers will consider an applicant who sends a thank you letter following an interview more favorably than those who don't. Yet, more than half of all applicants do not take the time to do even this. By writing a thank you letter, you're placing yourself in the minority. By using it strategically, you're giving yourself even more of a competitive advantage. In your opening to the follow-up letter, you need to renew the connection you made during the interview. Despite the strategic purpose of the letter, it should always come across as sincere and genuine. To accomplish this, you must be sincere and genuine. So begin by thanking the interviewer for his or her time. Notice that this opening is right to the point and uses the word today. That makes it look like you went home and wrote the follow-up letter immediately after the interview. This subtly communicates that you're on the ball and get things done in a timely fashion. Now you have to grab the employer's attention. You already know that one of the best ways to do this is to compliment him or his organization. Another effective method is to mention any valuable insights you learned as a result of the interview. This way, you not only show your genuine appreciation for the interview, but you also demonstrate to the employer your listening skills. The model that you use as a template is this. If you remember the example from the earlier lesson on constructing a cover letter, you'll use a similar strategy here. So, as this example shows, revisit your personal connection with an inside agent in the organization whenever that's possible. It makes you already seem part of the organization, and it flatters the employer. Mike praised him, and you second the compliment. So your opening starts with a thank you, then follows with the line you see here. Of course, if you don't have an inside connection like Mike Walker, you can still offer a genuine compliment about something you learned during the interview. You're now going to turn the tables on the power players. Employers are so used to reading letters that puff up an applicant that they're almost numbed by them. So now you're going to give the hiring manager an unexpected change of pace. Let's picture our busy chief architect, Mr. Smith, sitting at his desk, stressed out, as he often is. The mail is brought in, he quickly shuffles through it, bills, advertisements, and something that looks like a personal hand-addressed letter. Which one do you think he picks up first? He opens your letter, and as soon as he realizes it's a follow-up, he expects to see a blatant list of all the reasons why he should hire you. But you softened him up in the first paragraph, so he puts down his guard and starts reading more intently. He's in a receptive mood, so now's the time to emphasize your noteworthy skills and achievements and show how your competencies mesh with the needs of the organization. You might say something like this. Observe the specific structure you use here. The first sentence is a smooth tie-in to the opener. You have thanked the hiring manager for his insights, and now you prove you can make those insights or visions for the future come to life by citing your experience and abilities. In the last line, you indirectly indicate that you're a perfect fit for the organization. Now the hook in your closing paragraph, your call to action. In your call to action, you urge the prospective employer to get in touch with you again. But you have to give Mr. Smith a reason to call. And one of the best ways to do that is to offer to solve a problem for him. This is the try before you buy strategy that you're probably familiar with. Here's an example of how this strategy works. Let's say during the interview, Mr. Smith mentioned an operational problem he was struggling with. On your way home, you think about an approach to the problem. However, you aren't going to give the solution away. You're going to get the employer to ask for it. That's the hook. Something like this. Here you give the employer a real reason to contact you. This is much more way. You're going to get the employer to ask for it. That's the hook. Something like this. Here you give the employer a real reason to contact you. This is much more powerful than any of the other calls to action we've discussed so far. It's a matter of simple reciprocity. You give the employer your idea in exchange for a competitive edge over other applicants. That's it. You end the follow-up letter with sincerely, print a copy of it off on the same paper and with the same font you've been using for your resume and cover letters. Sign your name, preferably in blue ink, send it off. So here are the master secrets for writing effective follow-up letters. Always give the employer a reason to call. Simply asking an employer to call is not enough. By offering something of real value, you make it in his or her best interest to call you. Keep it simple and to the point. Like the resume and cover letter, the follow-up letter should be extremely focused and direct. Keep it down to 1 page, 3 paragraphs. Establish a personal connection and gain attention by doing the unexpected. Always match your qualifications to the employer's needs. Prove to him or her that you are capable and willing to solve the problems he or she faces. There you have it. How to write winning resumes, winning cover letters, and winning follow-up letters. You've got the tools you need to land an interview and then to land a job. In the capstone that follows, you'll have the opportunity to do just that.